But next we have someone who is one of the miserables these days. But she's not going to put a dampener on the proceedings this morning. Quite the reverse, in fact, because she has a happy story to tell, having just completed a big week for her in London's West End. In fact, she was due to chat to me live on the phone at the end of last week's programme, but you may remember we couldn't raise her. She was profusely apologetic and mortified afterwards, explaining that when she got dropped off by friends in a car late that night, that was the Saturday night, she couldn't find her phone when she got into her apartment and realised, we've all done it, she'd left it in the car. And with no phone, she couldn't ring them or us to warn us. Well, we've probably all, as I say, done that in our time, and she was very keen to make amends by chatting this week. So the young lady in question is from Urmston in Manchester and is one of the brightest young musical stars in London's West End. You'll probably remember her from the BBC TV show Over the Rainbow, where, under the gaze of Andrew Lloyd Webber, she won the part of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz at the London Palladium. I speak, of course, of 20-year-old Danielle Hope, who was actually in this studio some weeks back to tell me all about that Palladium experience. Well, now she has taken another big step forward in her glittering young career. The Yellow Brick Road is left far behind, as she's just taken over one of the starring roles in the West End production of one of the most successful musicals of all time, Les Miserables. She made her debut last Monday, playing Eponine at the Queen's Theatre, with, of course, her big song, the haltingly sad but beautiful On My Own. Well, earlier I asked Danielle if her first week had gone well.
Brilliantly. It was amazing to have that much support in the audience, not just on opening night, but every night. But I think that's what makes doing Les Mis so special and so amazing, is because, you know, it's been on for 26, 27 years for a reason, and it's such a fantastic show that the response we've been getting has been so, constant. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing.
Well, it's my favourite. I think I've seen it about 4 times, but I'll have to come and see it with you in it. But there is your big song, of course, On My Own, which is very sad but very beautiful.
Yes, it's an absolute joy to be able to sing it. I mean, it's quite funny, really, because I obviously went from doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is, you know, possibly one of the most well-known songs across the globe, to doing one of the most well-known songs in musical theatre.
But if memory serves me right, Danielle, you sang On My Own in Over the Rainbow for one of your songs.
I did, on one of the Saturday nights, yeah. Which is quite funny, isn't it? But yeah, no, it's such a beautiful song to be able to sing 8 times a week. And I'm really finding so much in it this week and just finding lots of different things. So yeah, it's great.
And for the few people who won't have seen Les Mis, and there can't be many, just tell us a little bit about the part you play, Eponine. Tell us a bit about her.
Eponine is a bit of an urchin, bit of a tomboy, really. She's grown up in the Thénardier family, and she's not really their daughter in their eyes anymore. She's kind of what they use, you know, to run the errands. And she falls in love with a character called Marius, and it's a bit of a love triangle, but purely from her point of view, because Marius falls in love with Cosette, who is this beautiful, perfect vision of beauty, and Eponine is this dirty street urchin kind of kid who Marius would never look twice at. And yeah, it's really lovely to be able to play that unrequited love, and she just goes through the whole show doing everything that she possibly can to help Marius, which ends up meaning that she helps Marius and Cosette be together, which then is bittersweet, because she wants to help Marius, but then by doing that she's hurting herself. And it's brilliant. It's so twisted and bittersweet, and it's so great to play.
And indeed, very, very different from Dorothy. And of course, you die every night on stage. I mean, not with the audience, but I mean,
I don't think that's going to be a spoiler, is it? No, I think it's been a good few years now. People will know. Yes, I do. She actually, in the book, she puts her hand over a gun that is pointed at Marius on the barricade, and the bullet goes through her hand and into her chest and kills her. So she dies saving Marius. Really see in the show, because obviously, you know, she's climbing over the barricade. already had been shot. But yeah, I think that's really lovely, and so she dies for him.
But happily you return as a spirit towards the end, so you're not out of the show once you're dead, which is great.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
when you came in for a chat some weeks back, I mean, you told me all about that first night at the London Palladium, in at the deep end. You'd never played on a big stage before, let alone the Palladium. A house full of star names that night. Doesn't come much scarier than that. So having come through that experience and a long and hugely successful run in Wizard of Oz, did that make you feel a lot more comfortable and calm about your debut last Monday in Les Mis?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've spoken to people of all ages and all experiences now in this industry, and I don't think an opening night ever becomes comfortable or any easier. I think you put more pressure on yourself than anything. And yeah, I think because it's a new role, and even though you think, you know, look what you've done and you've been able to cope through that, you will be fine. You do know that, but you know, things like costume changes and just getting the feel for the show. And I mean, you know, we got the orchestra on the day for the first time, so that was also something we had to think about. And yeah, I was really nervous, but I knew that we had a lot of support out at the front of house. So yeah, it was such a lovely, lovely evening, and the company pulled together beautifully. It was great.
And how many shows do you do a week?
8 shows a week, Monday to Saturday.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, it is. It's a big ask. You've got to rest up a lot, but it's good fun.
I mean, well, you've got to preserve that fantastic voice of yours. How often do you get a break?
It's normal. You get about 28 days a year, I think. So I think my first holiday will be coming up in November. I think I've got 2 days off there. So yeah, I've got a couple of months yet, but that's okay. You know, you get your body into a routine, and, you know, you come home and you have a steam and you look after yourself and just eat properly and sleep well. That's all you can do, really. And
home, of course, is Urmston, not far from the studio. I mean, did Mum and the family and Gran and so on go down to see your debut?
No, they're coming up in the next couple of weeks. I never have family on the first night. I mean, if they want to come, then they're very welcome to, but I always say just give it a couple of weeks, because first nights are so busy, and, you know, afterwards you're with the cast and you're celebrating, and I always feel like if people are going to travel that far from Manchester, I want to kind of see them for a while and have dinner. So yeah, they'll be coming in the next couple of weeks.
Great. And you've deserted your great mentor, Andrew Lloyd Webber, for a Cameron Mackintosh production. How does he feel about that?
Absolutely fine. I don't think you can desert anyone. I think, you know, I'm sure, and I hope that me and Andrew will work together again. And yeah, I'm in contact with him and things, and Cameron is fantastic, and I'm really loving being part of the Les Miserables company. And yeah, it's great. I mean, I know that I have a really good relationship with both, and I will never forget what Andrew, you know, has done for me over the past 2 years. Yes, 2 years. So yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, it must have been a very important moment for you because, I mean, after you win a big TV show like Over the Rainbow and you get the big part in The Wizard of Oz and you're in that for a while, it must be a big worry whether there'll be another show after that. And to suddenly get Les Miserables must have been a very important moment for you.
Oh, completely. I mean, you never know where your next job is coming from in theatre. And to go from doing Dorothy, which is such a huge ask and role, I thought, you know, I hope there's something else that I can move on to that will be just as challenging and rewarding. And when Les Mis did come through, I was just so overjoyed because I think this is a dream role for so many people, and Les Mis is just a show that I've always dreamt of being a part of. So yeah, I feel incredibly lucky, but I know that I've worked really hard and will continue to, so yeah.
And how long do you think you'll stay in the show?
Well, my contract's for 12 months, so we'll just see when we get there. But no, I'm definitely there for a year, so I look forward to the year ahead.
And do you have an eye, a dream somewhere at the back of your head for Broadway?
Oh, yeah, I've always had a dream for Broadway. I mean, I've been to New York a couple of times now, and I just feel like I'm going home when I go there. Have you been to New York?
I have. I absolutely love it as a city. It's very exciting.
Yes, it's brilliant, isn't it? And I know I've always wanted to live there and work there, and one of my dream roles is to play Mary Poppins, so I would love to do that on Broadway. That's kind of like the big dream.
Fantastic. Well, always follow your dream, and well, you've dropped that hint now, so I hope they're all listening, and that you'll get that role. And hey, I mean, you've had a great start in Les Mis, and good luck for the rest of the year. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fantastic.
Much. Thank you.
Always a joy to talk to you. That was Danielle Hope, who made her debut in Les Mis in the last week and is there for a year, and lovely girl she is too.